You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. The following podcast contains spoilers and rude words. We watch thee. We watch thee. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. It's the show where we talk about stuff.
To make us popular. We want to be popular.
Getting our musical on today, Dave.
We are.
Welcome back to We Watch a Thing, where this week we are talking about Wicked, titled on screen as Wicked Part 1. So I don't know how to title this episode. Would you call it just Wicked, or would you call it Wicked Part 1?
Call it Part 1. People need to know what they're getting themselves in for.
Okay. A 2024 American musical fantasy film directed by John Chu, written by Winnie Holtzman and Dana Fox. It is, of course, based on the stage musical Wicked by Stephen Schwartz and Holtzman, which in turn is loosely based on the 95 novel by Gregory Maguire, although, as Dave alluded to, this is Part 1. This is literally, if you've seen the Broadway musical Act 1.
Yes, apparently there is too much story in this stage musical to be housed in a single 2 hours and 40 minutes film.
Yeah. And of course, if you don't know what the musical is about either, it is, of course, I don't know how you describe it. I guess this part at least is a prequel.
Revisionist prequel to The Wizard of Oz.
Yes. All right. It stars Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, Bowen Yang, Peter Dinklage, Michelle Yeoh, and Jeff Goldblum. And what is it about, Dave?
I mean, as said, it's ostensibly the origin story of the Wicked Witch of the West, who is in this musical film based on a stage musical, as you say, loosely based on Maguire's
very loosely,
book. The Wicked Witch has a name now, Elphaba, silly name, and it tells the story of her basically from birth. I assume all the way through, kind of to the Wizard of Oz time frame. I've not seen the musical before. I have not gone and read up on what part 2 or the post-intermission bit is.
That surprises me.
And I'm doing no homework and not trying at all. I'm just coming in off the street to talk about a thing I saw.
All right. This surprises me because I just assumed you would have seen it because it's a 20-year-old.
I have wanted to forever.
Yeah.
The few times that there has been and it's been many a year, I believe, since there's been a tour through Australia. There is one upcoming.
It's touring right now.
I looked at the ticket prices and told the kids, no, sorry, they're all sold out. But, we have defying gravity ever since I first heard it for the first time in Glee.
Is it in Glee?
Yeah. Oh, every fucking song ever in any musical is in Glee. But Idina Menzel actually plays Rachel Berry's mother. Perfect casting because they fucking look identical.
Yeah.
But both she and Kristen Chenoweth had significant recurring roles in Glee, as you would expect in a thing that is basically all a celebration of musical theatre. But that's where I first heard the song, and I didn't know what it was from. I just thought, fuck, that's a banger. And then later learned it was from Wicked. Thought, oh, okay. I assumed that'd be shit because it's a Wizard of Oz musical. But from that point on, I really wanted to see it. The kids really wanted to see it. We were never able to. So I genuinely, and I know roughly, and more so now having seen this film, that it's kind of a, kind of like Maleficent or Cruella. That Disney's doing the same thing. We're taking the archetypal scary villains and we're showing where they came from. We're seeing the other side. We're doing a backstory for them. Yeah. It's that sort of a thing. I don't know how closely this follows either the stage musical or even the book.
Oh, okay.
So I'm hoping, can you be Dave this time and
I
fill in the
can.
blanks for me? 'Cause
I'm really surprised. I thought that we'd come in here and you'd tell me that you'd seen the musical several times. It just seems like the kind of thing you would have seen.
I am Mr. Musical.
I don't like
Jazz
musicals,
hands.
and I have seen Wicked, and I saw Wicked. Oh man, I want to say like 2010, 2011. It was when it was first in Australia, and it was like the big flavor of the month thing, and everyone was loving it.
It literally took about 10 years for it to get here. I mean, people were clamoring to see it, and it
Yeah.
took about a decade for it ever to come to Australia. And I think, other than now, that's the only time. Am I right?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think it's only
And
done like one big.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't love it. Like, I don't like musicals. I genuinely usually don't.
You're notoriously, like Paul Prezula, lacking in heart and soul.
I don't think that a lot of the songs from Wicked are that good. I think that Defying Gravity and Popular are kind of it, and there's a reason that they're the ones everybody knows.
Than you, but it sits for me in between your archetypal Andrew Lloyd Webber. I've written a single hit fucking banger song, and everything else is padding. Yeah, Phantom of the Opera, Cats, blah blah blah.
Yep.
That's his shtick. Apart from Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a fucking all-time classic. But at the other end of the spectrum, obviously, you've got things like Chess, you've got things like Les Mis, you've got things like Hair, where every single song stands on its own merits and is awesome. This for me is kind of halfway, because I have listened to the album of the original Broadway, the proper one, Adina and Kristen Chenoweth. I've listened to that several times in the car, and I would say almost half the songs I don't skip. I'm kind of there for them.
Yeah, I can see that.
Half of them I'm with you. A complete filler. There's nothing to them, and they I've got to say, and I know this is probably going to be a sticking point for us, I do not see why we needed 2 films to tell the story of this.
So
Please tell me why we did.
So you know already. So you don't know whether I liked this film or not. But one thing I did say is that I disagree on the runtime thing. And so let's get there. So I saw the musical. I didn't love it. I thought it was fine. What I do like about Wicked is the story. I actually really like the revisionist angle that it plays, and I actually think that because the musical, the Broadway musical, is very different to the novel, and I actually like the story in the musical better. Right. So, but that said, I had no hopes coming into this. Like I said, I don't like the songs.
I think we were both
I've never liked Ariana Grande. But
I like Cynthia Erivo as an actress.
I've never seen her in anything before this. I'd never heard of her.
You've seen Fast Times at the Royale or Bad Times at the.
I haven't. No.
What?
No. So I've never seen her in anything. I had no idea who she was. But
I've never heard her sing before.
Dizzle's big call. I fucking loved this movie, man. I loved it. I saw it twice.
What?
I loved it. I went in not expecting to like this at all. And right now, I'd say it's not my number 1 of the year, but it's in my top 5. And it's
wow.
I had no expectations for this movie, none at all. And when I first sat down, I was like, oh, great. Yeah, my expectations were kind of met, because I think that No One Mourns the Wicked is a shit opening song for a play.
I said this to Ayla and I had a massive conversation about this morning as we were driving to an orthodontist appointment. It was our entire drive was this conversation. We already have a song called Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead.
Yeah.
Which is fucking great.
Yeah, it's a much better song. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do we ditch that and have this
because here's
song
the thing
that does nothing and starts so fucking flat?
The songs that I really dislike from Wicked are the chorus numbers. Any of the ones, the Welcome to Oz song is the same. Any of those choral I really hate them. I just think they sound bland. So the first 5 minutes of this film
are utterly tuneless.
So the first 5 minutes of this film,
I don't get, like, Stephen Schwartz, who wrote the music for Wicked. This is the guy that did Pippin and Godspell. Like, he has serious. He's not Stephen Sondheim, but he has serious fucking cred. Why is so much of this forgettable pedestrian nothing? I don't get it.
But after watching the film, there's really only the two songs I don't like, which is "No One Mourns the Wicked" and the "Welcome to Oz" song, and all of the rest of them really, really grew on me. And
even fucking Goldblum's.
Yep.
Crap.
Yeah. Yep. And yep, John Chu has convinced me that this film did need to be this long. I have no problem with the runtime of this film. The thing about it, like, okay, people keep pulling out, the entire Broadway play is 2 hours 40, and this film is the same length for just one act. You can't literally translate a stage production like that to here because there's so much suspension of disbelief in a Broadway play. It's like, oh, look, now we're in the Emerald City. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, now they're in the Emerald City. You can't do that here. There's no time to breathe in a Broadway musical. The thing about a Broadway or a play, any kind of Broadway show, is that silence is death. You cannot have two characters just sit in silence on stage.
No,
you can't do that.
Faces, you can't.
But in film, you cannot not have time to breathe. You can't have that. So I'm all for this movie being as long as it is. I don't think any of it is filler. I think it just tells the story. I think it tells it well. I adore the acting in this film. I think the cinematography is great. The first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, why is this so desaturated? Like when you watch The Wizard of Oz, and it is the most vibrant piece of cinema in history, and this is kind of a bit dreary and grey almost. But by the end of the film, I was like, no, I get that. That's what this film is. This is making Oz a real place, not a dream. And I loved it. I loved every second of this film.
So I'm with you. I agree with everything. Well, leaving aside the comments about the runtime, because fuck my god, this movie never ended. But leaving that aside, I agree with the transition to. I think Chu and his team have done a great job of taking a stage thing and translating it to a film thing. There are wonderful close-ups. There is, I gather anecdotally that there is more character development. There are things that flesh it all out as you need to for a film. Yeah. My argument would be they didn't go far enough. They should have trimmed some of the shit filler songs out to keep the runtime reasonable.
See, but here's the thing. You've got to remember, you're trying to
adding,
but this
as you should. But there were stretches of this that were fucking tedious.
But at this point, see, because I agree. I would cut, if you're going to cut anything, I'd cut songs. But that's you and me who aren't fans of the Broadway show, Dave. And you got to remember,
even fans of the Broadway show are not fans of some of the. Some of these songs are
people
objectively nothing.
No, people who like the Broadway show of Wicked are fervent about it, and they love
they're going to be
everything
about the
about
shit
it.
that's added in.
But
you don't. In this, I understand.
No, there's no new characters.
What's her name? From Greatest Showman, the Dolores Umbridge horrible teacher woman that comes in is not.
Oh, she's just the princess. She's in like 20 seconds of the film.
Oh no, she's not. She's repeated. She comes in several times.
No. Look, here's the thing. This is at this point the biggest Broadway show of the 20th century. Sorry, 21st century.
21st.
This is
Hamilton.
I'd say this is bigger.
Actually, no, this is bigger than
Hamilton.
This is
bigger than Hamilton. Yeah. This is the biggest Broadway show of the 21st century. Yeah. And the people who love it dearly. People have been clamoring for an adaptation of this for so long. You can't cut any of the songs. Like John, he didn't have a choice. Okay. His hands were tied. He could not cut any of the songs.
Counterpoint.
Here's what I'll say. He didn't add any new songs, which has become the shtick. Look at fucking, Little Mermaid live action, Beauty and the Beast live action. They're adding songs and they're always worse than the original songs.
To be fair, Beauty and the Beast live action better than the original.
But at least, this doesn't do that at all.
No. Look, I do think it's too long, but I do agree that Chu did a great job translating. The one thing that I keep coming back to is that we had a film 2 minutes shorter than this film of Les Mis by Tom Hooper only a few years ago.
It's a very different thing. They're very different stories. Les Mis.
But I would say there is far more in that fucking story than there is in this story. Is not War and Peace.
I disagree with a lot of that. I think that this is a fairly epic story in that it follows a character from birth to like, there's still a
It's
lot
not
to
like we
come.
spend an hour on her childhood.
There's still a lot to
She's
come
at
in Act
school
2 of
in
this
about
show.
15, 20 minutes in.
Like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a lot to come in Act 2 of this show still. And Les Mis is a very...
None of the good songs, though.
No. Les Mis is a very insular, small story, and that's what makes it so wonderful.
It's multiple lives, though. You've got Jean Valjean's life, and then you've got Cosette's life. Like, it covers a larger time span. It's got the fucking French Revolution. Like, there is more in that film.
Yeah, I disagree. I disagree. I think story-wise, that's a much more compressed story. I think that this, okay, we spoke about cutting out some songs. What else would you cut out? Like, story-wise, what would you cut from this?
I would have cut a third of the songs, if not half, because of shit.
Okay, but we've discussed that. You can't do that.
No one's going to do it.
You can't do it.
I'm saying what I would do, because I genuinely struggle with the idea of doubling the runtime with the same story, just transitioning from stage to... It's never been done before.
But they're different. They're different mediums. They're different mediums. It's never been done this well before.
West Side Story has gone from stage to screen twice.
Yeah.
Spielberg's didn't need to happen. We all acknowledge that.
But that's a completely different thing.
But it is still taking a stage musical, translating it very well to a cinematic medium, very successfully. You can't criticize it. It's done perfectly. And that it didn't need to be doubled in length.
They're very different things.
This is a bloated film.
I can't disagree more. And I don't understand that take. Just because it hasn't been done before, I don't think it's ever had to have been done before. Like, My Fair Lady going from fucking stage to screen. What are you stretching out there? You don't need to. But you don't. They don't. Oh, Sound of Music is bloated. Sound of Music is one of the most bloated movies ever made.
Film, though.
Grease is one of the most bloated movies ever made.
2 films.
I would rather fucking Sound of Music was 2 films, because the first one would have been shorter, and then I wouldn't have watched the second one. Once the Nazis come, who gives a shit? I honestly, I disagree. To me, it's the same as, like, it's just a different medium. All right, so look at Harry Potter, for example. You got the books, okay, which obviously then when they were adapted to film, tons had to be cut out. So much had to be cut out. So much had to be cut out of those films.
Yes, but it was done effectively. And
no,
I don't
it wasn't.
Think the last
it was
one,
not done
the last
effectively.
One was 2 films because they wanted to keep making money.
I disagree. It was not done effectively at all. Like, none of those films, if you're not familiar with the books, a lot of them skip over so many plot points. They don't make sense.
They do. I love the books and I love the films. And yes, but that's part and parcel of Dune. Dune needed 2 films because that book is fucking long and fucking dense. Harry Potter, they trimmed out largely. Fluff sounds offensive, and I love the books. I don't want to denigrate them, but nothing that was cut out was missed. Those films still work. They're still good films.
This
you were drunk when you saw them.
No.
You need to take that into account.
I thought that this was going to be a cash grab. I thought this was going to be split into 2 parts for, commercial reasons. I
genuinely think that's the main driver.
I genuinely disagree.
John, I think I'm sure they're trying to. There are valid reasons, and they're genuine about it as well.
Massively disagree. I think
studios,
and I don't think. I mean, look, it's hard to say. Harry Potter was such a moneymaker. You're right. That probably was split for commercial reasons, and that started a trend. Then you had Twilight, Hunger Games. They all started.
Jesus Christ.
We haven't seen that in a long time, though. We haven't seen it since The Hobbit. The Hobbit was the last adaptation that did that, and that was a joke that it was adapted.
No, Hunger Games came after that.
You sure?
Yeah, Mockingjay was that was a year or 2 after Hobbit. I'm fairly.
All I'm saying is I disagree. I don't think that this was done for that reason at all. I cannot see, especially knowing what still comes in Act 2.
Yeah, I should shut up,
even if you would cut stuff out, you're still looking at a 3.5-hour film at least if it was the entire story, at least. And that's with cutting 5 songs. I can't see it happening.
Yeah, all right. I'll shut up about that now because I shouldn't be talking about it. I haven't seen part 2.
Let's talk acting, can we?
Move on to other
because
stuff.
as I said, I've never seen Cynthia
I think we'll be
Erivo.
in lockstep on this.
I'm not typically an Ariana Grande fan. I've never liked her before. I saw her on SNL 3 weeks ago.
I find her vapid and irritating.
Same.
And have done since what's that Victoria Justice
Of course, you're down with all the kids' shows.
Tory something, whatever it is, where
Yeah.
she's the ditzy idiot
Same.
friend.
I've never been a fan of hers. I saw her on SNL about 3 weeks ago, and it was a revelation. I was like, oh my god, she's actually funny. Like, she actually knows what she's doing, and I loved her in this film.
Ditzy persona, but I mean, you must have seen her on Fallon and things like that.
No, I don't really watch. No,
I mean, I've only seen like as YouTube clips, but while I've found her vapid and annoying, I've always, from a singing point of view, and I'm assuming partly, from an acting point of view, because no one is this ditzy person in real life. So it's got to be a persona, which means she can act. But as a singer, she is almost unparalleled. She does things on, he does that gimmicky thing on, where he gets people on that do impressions, whether it's singing or acting.
I was going to say, her impressions on SNL really
random
blew me away.
wheel where we spin it and you have to do say or sing this thing in the style of this thing, and it's always the things that the impressions that people can
of course
do. It's not random.
yeah
because he's got like 3 things he can fucking do, and that's it. So that's always cool. But she and there's an SNL skit that you would have seen where she's the intern at a radio station and they keep losing all of the artists and she has to get up and sing oh my god, we've lost all the Britney files, quick, get up and sing Britney. And she can do, she'll do Britney Spears, Shakira, Mariah Carey, blah 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 blah, Christina Aguilera flawlessly. She has an incredible talent.
And in this film, even though she's a great mimic and stuff, have you spoken about, she is not just imitating Kristen Chenoweth in this film.
Ooh.
I think she is far better. I actually do not like Kristen Chenoweth.
Oh my god.
I don't. I've never liked her. I just don't like her in anything. I'm just not a fan. Wow. What Ariana Grande does in this film is actually extremely hard because Glinda is the comic relief. And in a stage show, the comic relief is big and broad, and because you can't see facial expressions. I think you got to be over the top,
toned down appropriately for film.
No, she's doing something actually incredible here. To be able to be as funny as she is, and still as emotionally in those beats as well, and to not come off caricaturish. I was blown away. I thought she was amazing.
She is the MVP.
Film.
She is.
I disagree because Cynthia Erivo absolutely fucking kills it. And again, I have no idea who this woman is. I've never seen her outside of the makeup, but she carries the film. This film doesn't exist without Alphabet and without you caring for her.
Yeah, obviously she is central.
She absolutely crushes this performance.
I think she's very, very good, and I think what's her first big number? I think it's The Wizard and I.
Yes,
I think is fabulous. That was the turning point for me. None of the songs before that I thought were any good. I was thinking, fuck, this is going to be painful because I have not liked 1 second of this film.
Yeah,
up until that point, that song kind of turned me, and I thought she nailed it. I don't think she nails Defying Gravity. I think she's good, but I think she's well short of Idina Menzel on that. But I think on The Wizard and I, she's up there. It's really good. So I think she's great. The emotional acting stuff, she absolutely smashes it. The intimate sort of scenes with the two of them, and Ariana Grande, I agree with you. She does an incredible job of being almost the villain at the start.
Yeah.
Like an irritating villain.
Yeah.
The arc of her through to being this, the best friends, and then right at the end, kind of, oh my God, she's capitulating. it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to. I'm not even going to read up on it. I can't wait to see what happens.
So
with them
I'm
in
so
the next
excited for part 2 now. I don't know if you actually know this, Dave. You've brought up Les Mis several times, and obviously the big thing about that was that it was filmed fully with live vocals.
So was this.
So was this. That's what I was going to say. It was the exact same sound engineer who worked on it.
I mean, I think there's some post-production and stuff going on, I think.
I mean, as there was with Les Mis, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I think some of it may have been... I did read somewhere that some of it's been added in later.
Oh, I don't think there's any ADR.
But it's beside the point. They're both phenomenal singers, especially Ariana Grande. I mean, I will say I think Ariana Grande's Popular... better than Kristen Chenoweth. That is the best
100%.
rendition of that song ever.
100%.
The filming, the blocking, the staging, the direction, everything.
John Chu crushes it. I don't think we've said quite enough yet about the choreography and the cinematography. I think John Chu,
great.
As a director, really, really shows his chops here. I think it's awesome. I think all of the supporting cast are great too. I think Goldblum as the wizard is inspired casting. I think
his kind of turn... From that point on, I really liked him. I think his song was one of the dud moments of the film. I think it's shit.
Yeah.
And it had and there are a few super cringy moments. The one where he says, "And I can't work out what color to make the road. What do you... fucking hell, I almost walked out of this. That was
there's heaps of that. It's the same as in in The Wizard and I when she sings I'd be so happy I could melt. Like it's all over this. Like that's what this is.
She's very free and easy around water, knowing what we know about her.
Jumping
over fucking stepping stones.
That's why you got to watch part 2. I don't want to spoil anything, but
on the flip side, for the cringy things, I mean, maybe it's just I'm a bit soft, but I loved, and I think it's in The Wizard and I, but you see her literally jump over a rainbow with bluebirds in the back, and I just went, oh!
Yeah.
That I thought was subtle enough to be really, really nice, but I don't know what color to make this road. Fuck off.
So how are you scoring this then? Because you sound quite mixed on it.
I'm so torn. The things that I liked, I really liked. The things that I didn't like, I mean, the costuming is phenomenal. This was, I mean, I'm sure that they must be fans of Eiko Ishioka, because some of the costumes in this could have come out of The Fall or Cell or something. Some of the and that. I think you said you didn't like it, but that I think it's called One. Is it One Short Day? It's the track where they first get to Oz.
Shit. I hate that
liked
song.
That. That was one of the songs I liked, and in part because that was where we got our, admittedly a little bit kind of shoehorned in, but we got our Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel cameos.
Yeah.
But the costuming, fucking hell, my mouth was agape at some of the costuming. I thought it was amazing. And production design. It's all so good. I'm going to be a little bit like Paul when he gets his fucking part 1 films. My score on this might change in a year's time when we get part 2, because it's going to kind of make or break this as a package, because it is one film broken in half. I'm going to say I'm a 7.
Okay, I'm a 9, and I'm very, very excited for part 2. And given how closely this follows the musical, I think it's pretty easy to predict how part 2 is going to go, and I'm expecting that to be a 9 as well. I think, same actors, same director.
And I can speak on this because I've listened to the whole album. There's no killer songs in part 2.
No, there's not.
It's the most weirdly designed musical ever. Normally you've got first half closer, second half closer, first half opener, second half opener, and one middle, normally a kind of the comedy song or whatever in the middle of each half. There's nothing in part 2 of this musically. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, it is. No,
I agree. So, all right. Well, next week, I don't know. How you feeling, Moana 2?
More excited for that than I'm fucking Wicked.
Okay.
Moana, look, I'm no big rock fan.
Yeah.
You know, less so now than I was when Moana came out. He was still kind of fun there. That was Baywatch era. You know, we still kind of liked him. I find him insufferable now. Red One hasn't improved that one fucking iota. The fact that he's doing a live action Moana and Moana 2 makes me really fucking hate him. And the fact that Ali Coralio is not even in fucking live action Moana makes me dislike him more, because I know she's on record saying, oh, it's time for someone else to inherit. No. He didn't want to share the spotlight because he's a cunt. But Moana is one of the best live action, not live action, and Disney animated films in years. It's in that really fucking amazing sweet spot of Tangled, Frozen, Moana, which all three of them are like 9 out of 10 films for me. So I'm actually really keen for this, and I'll be very disappointed if it blows.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com or pottymouthradio@gmail.com. Go join the Pottymouth Radio Facebook listener community, and we'll catch you next week with Moana 2.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I hope you're happy.
Yeah.
I hope you're happy now.
And go watch Wicked. Go watch Wicked. It's making all the money, but it needs your help.
Don't go watch it, because that'll mean Billy wins his prediction for the most successful film of the year.
And I'm winning that. I told you it's going to be the most successful film of the year.
Fucking Mufasa's going to come in and eat it.
Mufasa's not doing shit.
I'm not saying I want to see Mufasa. I just think
I definitely don't. I'm going to see it only because we're actually getting an IMAX here, and that's the first movie showing in it.
And that's how you want to christen your IMAX?
But it's not going to be good. But I'm telling you right now, and Wicked, it's going to be the biggest movie of the year.
Yeah, probably.